Good afternoon, this is Robin Bieber on the European Midday Roundup and Good Morning America chart talk on the 13th of July at 12 o'clock in the morning London time. The chart in front of us is set Brent 60-minute. You can see that the contracts are giving back some ground this morning, but the rally on Friday from near the 34-day moving average took us back into the range of the last few days that we've been in already, and now the contracts are slightly voting with their feet negatively. In other words, they're moving away from the danger zone of the resistances. And all that the market did on Friday was penetrate short-term moving average support, and then plunge down to the 21-day moving averages on the products and hold. Meanwhile, the crudes were a little bit weaker and went through the 21s and neared the 34s, recovered up to the dangerous resistance that had been knocking back every rally for the previous week. And this resistance is still very, very potent. It comes in at initial resistance comes in at 40.69 on WTI. On Brent, it's 43.48, and we've been up close to those two levels today. Heating oil 124.35, RBOB 126.60 to 126.80, and then 127.35, the 5-day moving average. And gas oil's not really tested its resistance at 375 and a quarter. Now, the key is going to be largely what RBOB does, and it's a very good indicator of what's happening. It's failed, having started rather well this morning, it's failed to hold the 5-day, then the 8-day, and then the key 50% correction point at 126.80. Whilst it's below the 8-day at 125.82, it's in trouble, although this is far from conclusive. It's giving back some ground. But it must hold the 13 and 21-day moving average here at 123.20 to 123.10 area. If that doesn't hold, we're going to go in for a rerun of Friday and sink and test lower numbers. The key is it must hold the 13 and 21-day moving average, call it 123.10. At the same time, it really hasn't got any upside unless it can get over 126.80, because this is an area that it put under serious pressure over the whole of last week and failed. And Friday's early action was very much a process of the market giving up ground after disappointing failures for 5 days in a row. But it is now recovered, but then it is again dipping down. So, whilst it's below 126.80, RBOB's in trouble, but that is not confirmed whilst it's holding the 13 and 20. In other words, all it's doing is sliding back to test short-term moving average support. No more at the moment. It's stuck in this range. Below the 13 and 21 day would not be good news. Being below the 8-day suggests a little bit more pressure to the downside. The stochastic would seem to confirm this. But only below the 13 and 21-day moving averages gives us targets lower. Now, if we look at how this manifests on WTI, for example, it's not that different. So here we have TI, early strength this morning, up close to 40.69, made a high at 40.53 and faltered. If it moves below the 13-day moving average at 39.75, and we're printing 39.76, it looks like a dip further, another 30 cents down to the 21-day at 39.41. But if that doesn't hold, this contract could have $1 lower. The negative stochastic is not great, but basically no hint of significant rally unless over 40.69, and then it would need to move over 41.25. And as for the Brent, pretty much the same. It's down and testing its 13-day at 42.36. We've made a low at 42.39. No downside serious unless we move below 42.02, the 21-day moving average. It's already flirted with its resistance at 43.48 with a high at 43.21, but has got no punch higher yet. It needs to get over 43.48 and then over 43.87 to 97 to have targets higher. At the moment, all it's doing is failing in the region of range resistance. If we look at heating oil, it's done exactly the same. It's failed at its initial resistance at 124.35 with a high at 124.12. It's now below the 8-day moving average at 122.94, and whilst below there, looks like it could easily test the 13-day at 120.66. It has no target south unless it was to close below the 21-day at 120.18. The negative stochastic is not helping the bulls at all. Gasol's a bit stuck, floundering below the 5 and 8s. Looks like it's going to test the 13 at 362.25 and the 21 at 360.25. But until it moves and closes below the 21 at 360.25, no downside. And for it to have a sustainable rally, it at least needs to get back above the 5 and 8. So the message is clear. We went back into the resistance gap zone, if you like, of the last 5 days, the range resistance, put it under a bit of pressure on Friday night and this morning and have faltered there. We're now looking like testing the 13-day moving averages and in some cases the 21s. These must hold or we're going lower and breaking down to the bottom end of the range again and further south. So bit of an either or, a bit of a fence sit today. Watch the key numbers and particularly watch RBOB. Meanwhile, structure looks a bit flimsy. We're below the 5 and 34 on the front SEPOC Brent and look like we're heading lower to at least put minus 29 under pressure, possibly even minus 32, 33 area. And the OCNOV is also faltering. It's below the 34 day at minus 24, and whilst it's in that condition, looks like it could head to minus 34. The hourly charts are still floundering and pointing south. The front end of WTI also looks flimsy, but it's holding the 34 on this AUG SEP at minus 22, below minus 22, and it looks like it could easily head down into the low 30s. And the SEPOC is below the key 34-day moving average at minus 18, looks like heading for minus 31. So front structure looks under pressure. DEC Red DEC TI, below the 176 correction point, looks like it could plow down to Friday's lows around about minus 224 area. It looks in trouble and with a negative stochastic. The 60-minute chart is suggesting that whatever hope it had earlier today of a rally is beginning to dissipate. DEC Red DEC Brent is right on its 34-day at 263. If it moves and closes below there, it's looking for a move to the 55-day at minus 331. It looks in trouble. The market looks in trouble, but then it looked in trouble on Friday morning as well. Be careful. The 13 and 21-day moving averages must hold, otherwise we're going to head a little bit further south yet, generally speaking, and we so far failed at resistance, so don't be surprised by attempts to put us under a little bit of pressure this morning. And the 60-minute charts on Brent, still looking like we could go lower, getting a bit overcooked, but looks like we're going lower, and on RBOB, the same. That's all for, although RBOB is trying hard to hold here, so watch RBOB very carefully for early warning signals. That's all for today, folks. Good luck, good trading, and bon appetit.